Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope you guys are all having a great start to your morning. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys get to see exactly what it is that I'm trading. As of right now, natural gas is somewhat selling off, and Diaz is the one that's currently pushing up. So right now we have a nice little push up, resistance based off of previous patterns right around 66.50. So margin of profit is around 2.5%. We can see that /NG if you need a little bit more guidance or direction. Oh man, excuse me. Holy moly. So as of right now, what's it called? The overall kind of direction for the day. It's been kind of weird. Right around this specific period, so right around 6 o'clock, again, certain markets open. Not certain markets, but certain brokers just then allow their traders to openly trade around that time period. And then we saw a huge spike up. So like natural gas has been downtrending since pretty much like Tuesday, right? It sold off very aggressively and it continued to downtrend and get rejected by this SMA line. As soon as it passed 6 o'clock, it had a huge push up, rode like this middle VWAP, and it's still continuing a downward pattern, but it's starting to ride that middle VWAP resistance a little bit more aggressively. So now I'm kind of like indifferent about like which direction it's kind of going to be going for the remainder of the day, and I'm having trouble identifying, is this kind of like the peak and it's going to start to make lower lows and lower highs around this period? So do I want to go into degas, or is this thing just pulling back a little bit before it continues to uptrend? And then is that something that I just want to wait for the confirmation of and then go into it on the, what's it called? And go for you guys and stuff like that. So as of right now, looking at natural gas, even on the 1 day, 1 minute chart, we'll look a little bit closer, but we're getting some consolidation here, so I'm not sure if we're going to be making lower lows. We can try to, let's see. Yeah, UGAS has been pretty bullish, so like we'll go here on UGAS. Margin of profit is decent, and I keep missing out on these entries. This is how it's been all pre-market hours, and it's been kind of like bummy. I haven't been enjoying it too much. I've been up since 5:30, and I guess it's just like my quickness to like react to like how it's been trading is very like just slow today. I'm trying to make this just look a little bit nicer. I apologize. Let's see. Here we go. But yeah, I mean, and this is why it's so important. Like this kind of just pattern right now, I don't think is enough just direction for me to be able to identify like, okay, we're trading up for the day or trading down for the day. That's why I think it's so important to have access to the futures, because you have a lot more to go off of before you decide like, what you want to choose to trade. So as of right now, I'm just kind of like, it is downtrending, but then during like the most recent, like the past 2-3 hours, it's been trying to uptrend and really consolidate. It's not really going as low as it was before, and we're getting some consolidation right around this SMA line, which might be building a support for it to continue to uptrend. But as of right now, it's kind of just like all up in the air and kind of just waiting out for everything to kind of play out. So yeah, that was a very common question. So how was your trading day yesterday? I don't know if you guys were able to tell, but I was like super tired yesterday. I think I was running on 2.5 hours of sleep. And right after my live stream, I filmed my second video, right, my public video on YouTube, responded to a couple messages, did a very little work, and then went straight to bed again. And I didn't wake up till like 1 o'clock or something like that, and didn't feel very good for the remainder of the day. So I kind of just hung out and tried to congratulate everyone that did exceptionally well. And it was just a bad day for me to miss out on, obviously. I think you guys pushed up 34%, but I just was not feeling it. I don't know if you guys saw by the way that I was carrying myself yesterday. Yeah, I was really lacking like motivation and just drive to trade. I just felt like kind of sick. So feel a little bit better today. So that's all good. Set these alerts. See kind of where we're at. You could see that during pre-market hours, I built this little support line. This is kind of where it's built a support all during pre-market hours. So based off previous patterns, it has the potential to sell off down to here. Again, in correlation on over to DGAS, you might want to ask yourself, is that margin of profit worth it? I'm going to take, and then I can cut losses quickly if it obviously changes. But on UGAS alone, I'm going to take I'll take a 200 share position size. So a 200 share position size, and we'll make sure it's a decent entry. So scoot back a little bit. So let's go here. This is kind of what I see here. So I see a lot more upside potential for this thing to continue to uptrend than downside potential. I can manage my risk if this thing breaks below the pre-market support, right? So it built a really strong support right around the 3.52. My position size isn't too big. I can get in at a decent price point. If it begins to sell off, then I'll cut losses on UGAS and the position size that I have. And I do see the upside potential and for it to continue to uptrend to be much greater as well. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, I've just been struggling all pre-market. I've been struggling to get filled, my entries and my exits. So that's so sweet, Mike. Super happy to hear that. Hope you enjoyed your trip as well. So, Ricky, do you know why my limit orders get filled immediately, even when the price point is higher than the market? Well, if someone submits a limit order, like if the spread is wide enough and the market order can switch back and forth quick enough, and you'll end up getting filled, then maybe that's why. But someone has to be buying at that specific price point, and if the market price continues to go between the ask and the bid, and you're the closest one to the bid, then you most likely will be the one that gets filled. So. All right. So see what we have going on here. /NG was trying to show signs of it moving up. So it broke above the EMA line. It started to make little higher highs, not fully confirming the uptrend, not completely, right? but it started to show signs of, as you guys can see here, higher highs and higher lows. There we go. So we just made higher highs for the day. Boom. Again, previous resistance has been close to or near to the middle VWAP. That's all I have to go off of. So I have to take that into consideration. That again, I don't want to be too greedy, but I want to make sure that I try to maximize profits. The volatility as of right now, one thing that I do want to notice or point out is that it has been making kind of like descending highs. So I'm going to be a little bit more conservative on my end. It does not mean that that's what you have to do. I also want to remind you that now the market is open, and during these periods, the market was not open, so it can push up even higher than it was before. But to me, I just don't see that to be something that's worth it, right? So I'm just going to wait for a nice little push, and I'll probably exit around that area. So up a little bit over $100, so happy, right? And we'll kind of just wait out here. Yeah, so I hope my explanation right now of what I just said of why it was showing signs of an uptrend, and then when it began to make higher highs, I did a little bit more, right? Hope that made some sense. A little bit too slow for the exit. We're sitting at that. Let's see. So again, just something that you want to take into consideration. Again, general MACD area based off previous patterns on when it peaked out was right around that like 60 area, right? Doesn't mean that that's where it's going to peak out. It just means that it can. The MACD is also ascending, and it means that it can descend around this general area. And then the overall descending resistance. I'm just explaining like why I'm selling. My exit is completely irrelevant to you. I just wanted to simply explain it. So I just got filled with 200 shares for the exit, and there we go. So $186 profit. Not bad. Happy with that. But yeah, again, I could have exited way early, and this thing can shoot up to $67 or something of that sort. But based off previous patterns that I was able to identify during pre-market hours, there's a reason behind my sell, and it makes sense to me because of previous patterns, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, there it goes, a highs of $62. I think my exit, if I'm not mistaken, was, yeah, so 61.73. There it goes, and it's pushing up pretty aggressively. So, all right, sweet. Now, just gonna want to take this into consideration. One of the biggest factors that I want to share right now is that, again, this thing was showing signs of an uptrend, began to sell off, so it began to trade in between the middle and bottom VWAP, started to sell off, getting rejected by the SMA line. The SMA line, which is this green line right here, was acting as a resistance. Now that it broke above the green line and pulled back, do you see how it's been consolidating around this SMA line? So now old resistance levels, as you can see in this general area, are now becoming new support levels. So that's something that I think is very important to keep a close eye on, because if this thing just simply did pull back for a short period of time, right? So if we go on the 20-day 1-hour chart, and this was simply a small little pullback where it can, continue to shoot up, that's definitely still a possibility, and especially with that SMA line acting as a support. I would just keep that on high alert, especially as, like, let's say we get rejected. We should be getting rejected based off of pre-market patterns close to or near to this purple VWAP indicator, right? But as it sells off, I would be like either on high alert if it bounces off the EMA line or if it bounces off the SMA line, which is the green line that you see right here. I think that it would be something very interesting for you to see, and just to kind of keep a close eye on, because I'm considering taking a position on DGAS. So maybe I might just take a quick scalp, and I know this is a pretty risky trade, and it pops up right as I try to set up for it. So let's see. Watch out for a potential bounce here. Again, the bounce is not just because it's a general area, but because it's the EMA line. So you could see that multiple times, like as it pushes up and pulls back. When it pushes up, pulls back, it bounces around that general area, pushes up, pulls back, consolidates around this area, but then actually continues to sell off. So pushes up and then consolidates. So again, it's a valid indicator that it's been reacting pretty well with. But when the support is just not strong enough, then obviously it breaks below it, just like we've seen multiple times before. But yeah, so as of right now, there's a lot of consolidation here, pushed up, got rejected. So now it's kind of, I just want to see how it performs if we break below this specific area. Or if we get a bounce. If we get a bounce and then it pushes right back up, that would be signs of, natural gas showing signs of it being somewhat bullish for the day. Oh, you're killing it. Wow. It's like 17 minutes into the market open. Super happy to hear that you hit your goal. Here we go. We might be bouncing. Okay, it sounds like some people are saying that the stream is lagging. Let me just make sure that on my side it's good. Are we all better now? Okay, sweet. Sorry about that, team. Here we go. There we go. Whoa, let's see. Where are we at? Oh, I'm just gonna sell. I didn't know. We're getting so close to the resistance. I didn't see the middle VWAP. Okay, so natural gas is still selling off a little bit. So around this general area, I think it would make sense to have my limit order ready. MACD is still descending on natural gas. So is the RSI. There we go. Ooh. I don't think I got completely filled. So $244 profit, and there it goes. It pushed up to 65. It was actually a little bit more in the green. I think I was down like $16 or $17. So let's see where I sold exactly. 64.80. and now it's trading between 65. I think it was 65.15 the highs that it hit. So I think we did a pretty solid job. Again, being able to identify this pattern, right? And again, you guys might be asking, why or how did I know that this was a resistance, or why or how do I know that this was acting as a support? I want you guys to know, again, I've been up for like 2 hours now, around 2 hours, and I've been just simply watching kind of like how it's been trading. I've been trying to like identify directions and patterns, and I think that's one of the most important parts. It's you want to be able to familiarize yourself with kind of like what it is that you are trading, understand the direction. There was a question that I got that like, Ricky, I don't understand like how to identify direction when looking at prices. It's not really at like price points that I look for. It's just kind of like the flow and the pattern of how it's trading, and how it makes either like lower lows or like higher highs, or and stuff like that. So being able to look at these different indicators and being able to determine the high points and the low points and stuff like that. So I love how you explained everything today with the indicators. Sweet. I'm super happy to hear that. I think I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. So we're up 430 on the day, a little bit shy of my daily goal. I am down in a sense, or behind schedule of $500 because of yesterday's trading that I didn't trade, but it's okay. Last week we had a very green week, and I'm super happy, super like blessed. Again, I've been trading right now pre-market hours, at market open, for about 22 minutes, and to have been able to make $430 with an average position size of, I think, like less than $25,000. I don't think that's too bad, right? It's not huge. It's, I think, a little bit under 2%. But I think it's still very important to know that like you don't need to like make huge numbers. That's why I tell you guys to like set realistic goals, because the dollar amount that you're trading with today is not what you can be trading with 5 or 10 years down the road. And you just have to think about it that way, that like if you could focus on consistently growing your account regardless of how big it is, if you understand what you're doing, then that's the beautiful thing about trading. As your account grows, then so can your profits with a smaller margin. But sweet. Wow, I didn't notice that. Like, I didn't think that today's live stream was so entertaining. I feel, thank you. I'm really happy to hear that you guys found it useful. Okay, so it's lagging, I'm guessing. So for some people it's lagging. I might have to reset my modem, so that's something that I'll check in just a little bit. As of right now, /NG, again, around this general support area. I'll add a little bit more when we break above this. There we go. All right, here we go. So we're up a little bit over 500 on the day. There we go. Nice little pattern, nice little flow. Again, looking at natural gas and kind of the pattern and direction it's been following. Overall, SMA line acting as somewhat of a support, and then descending kind of like middle VWAP acting as somewhat of a resistance. So as soon as it breaks, I think about above this general area, I'm just going to set a couple of alerts just to make sure that I am reminded about these resistance areas, just so I can, let's say I'm distracted with answering questions or on my phone, then that's, I think, the pretty cool thing about that. So and just stay up to date with previous resistance that have been acting as alerts. And last time it did go up a little bit higher than it did during pre-market hours. I'm not going to use that as a reason to hold a little bit longer. I still identified the middle VWAP to be a resistance, because although it did go higher on the middle VWAP, it also did go lower. So I don't want to like discourage myself, or just for like an extra 5 or 10 cents to not lock in profits, and then it sells off, and then I'm just like, wow, I just wish I could sell back at where it was at, when I could have simply just locked in profits. So again, just general areas. Once you understand that this general area is a good area to sell, even if it goes up like another $1, I know it sucks, but again, as long as you understand and you have a reason behind what it is that you're doing, then I think that's what's most important. So the market today is very predictable. I'm super happy to hear that you feel that way. I don't necessarily think so. I think right now with the patterns that we're given, yes, but I still think some people might still be having trouble to understand the direction if they haven't been following these patterns for a longer period of time. But I'm happy to hear that it is working well for you. True, I agree. But you get what I mean, right? Riley, as in like, it's not that it sucks that you still ended up green, but it's that you always have that mentality or that idea in the back of your head that like, wow, if I would have held a little bit longer, I could have made more money. And that's the like true example. That's why I didn't make really. I was going to make a second video yesterday, but I just didn't want to take away from the whole premise of the first video that I made. That like, I thought the best practice that I shared yesterday were like, I don't want you to make a habit of certain scenarios that maybe that were like one case scenarios, or like just because of chance it played out that way. Same thing when it comes down to like locking in profits or holding something overnight, and because you held it overnight it ended up playing out in your favor, but don't think that every single time it's going to play out that way. Same thing when it comes down to locking in profits too early. And then you're like, wow, if I would have held a little bit longer, I would have made more money. So the next time you take a position, you hold a little bit longer and it does not actually push up, it gets rejected. And then now you're just like, well, what the heck? Last time it pushed up, now it didn't. Again, every single time. And that's why I say that like every single time it's like a per case basis, where you want to make sure you really understand like that. You just want to, in my opinion, and what I've seen to be very effective, is that you want to inhibit like a series of best practices that are long-term beneficial, not just for the moment, right? So like squeezing out an extra 5 or 10 cents might not be worth the long-term discouragement that you might experience. So as of right now, it looks like we just saw a little rejection. See where we're at. Pushed up to highs of 61.33. Yeah, so the lag that you guys are probably experiencing is probably on my end. Too many people are saying that it's lagging, and I doubt that all of your guys' internet is down and mine's fine. So I probably just have to reset my modem, and I'll do that in just a little bit. We're about to close out the live stream anyway, so hopefully you guys can hold through with me. Okay, so there's an interesting pattern right now. So check this out. We got rejected by this EMA line, right? And now it's almost starting to show signs of a down pattern, that it's going to continue to trend down. The EMA line is, it's now in a sense making like lower highs, right? So that's something that we want to take into consideration, especially based off of where we're at right now. So Okay, so yeah, it might be the quality that it's at right now. Some people are saying that they are experiencing a lag, and people with not the best service are saying that they're just fine. Maybe you just have to recalibrate the type of quality that you're watching at. Again, I do apologize. I'll be sure to reset the modem on my side though. Okay, sweet. Super happy to hear that, Ryan. What's going on, Adrian? TQ is killing it. Wow. That's interesting. Nice. Really nice push up. You guys just sold off or just pulled back a decent amount. So thanks for being introduced. I appreciate that, Landon. Thank you. There we go. Looks like it pushed right back up. See where we're at. Down about $40. Yeah, it's not holding very well. Yikes. There we go. Wow, volume's definitely picking up. Appreciate that, Sander. New low for the day. I wouldn't say that this is new lows for the day though, because if you look at /NG, I mean it still has these previous lows that it made, but we're definitely getting there. I mean it's still downtrending, so that's something that we have to take into consideration. Looks like every time that natural gas tries to push up, we're getting rejected by this EMA line. So there it goes. It just made new lows, and we're getting very close to this previous support. There we go. I'm gonna have to get ready to cut losses on this one. Wow, a lot of you guys are saying that there's really bad. Holy moly. Wow, I've never seen it like this. Okay. I'm gonna have to reset the modem then. Give me one quick second, team. Sorry about that.